FTL, or Faster Than Light, is an independent game by Subset Games, which apparently just two people. I think it's kind of funny. You play a spaceship, and you have to go across the galaxy, and you have to stay ahead of the incredibly dangerous rebel fleet. So you kill all the bad guys for resources, you gain more crew, you get better weapons, you increase your engines or anything like that, all leading up to the final boss of the game, which is the rebel flagship, which is this monstrosity of a ship. Trust me, you'll know it when you see it. FTL is sometimes called a roguelike, which it's not exactly accurate. Some people would be call them roguelites, in the sense that roguelikes were really brutal games, but it has the same things in common with roguelikes as another game, Binding of Isaac, which, in the sense that the maps that you traverse are randomized, and if you die, you start back over from the very beginning of the game, but in both games you can unlock different ships or characters to facilitate a different playstyle. FTL got some pretty good reviews at the time, but occasionally hear someone say that they don't like the game not because it's too hard, which would probably be valid because the designers, according to Wikipedia, said that they wanted to have about a 10% success rate through FTL, which sounds pretty low to me. But it's because people complain that the game simply is not fair. Here's an exact quote from someone who shall remain anonymous for their benefit. "The game just decided I was done." Or they would just say, the game is, you're losing the game because you got a bad roll, and that's it, you're done. And I feel the need to defend FTL from this particular criticism. Death can come for you very quickly in FTL, especially if it's something you're just plain not prepared for. Let's say you're using the Mantis B, which has very good teleporters, but no weapons to start with, and you encounter an automatic drone, which has no life support system. What do? You can't shoot it because you have no weapons, and even if you beam someone on board, they're going to smother before they do any damage. And even if they could, what are you going to do? You're going to beat the ship up until it blows up and lose a crew member in the first sector? That makes no sense. You can't even set a fire because no life support system means no oxygen, so the fire would just go right out, even if there's no way for a guy to go in there and just deliberately set a fire, but, fires occasionally happen. Nevertheless, there's nothing to do there. You just have to move to the next FTL beacon and just hope you didn't take a hit for no reason. Or, what if the guy has a Zoltan super shield, which, I don't think you see much in the first sector, but nevertheless, you cannot teleport to that. And you can't break it down unless you have weapons. So there's literally nothing you can do about that guy except retreat, move on to the next sector once your FTL drive is charged. But none of the people who quit the game at this stage are playing with a Mantis B. Alright, that is an exotic ship with a deliberately difficult playstyle, and it's extremely hard to unlock. I don't think I've unlocked the Mantis A yet. You gotta do some weird quest or do something. I think they changed that in Advanced. You can unlock it by beating the game with other ships, which is a thankful change. Anyway, most people who quit the game, I assume, are going to play with the Kestrel, which is the basic ship, which is very well balanced, and at least at the beginning of the game, it's hard to find a ship that will really just penetrate something. But as you upgrade, as you pick something to upgrade, you pick something not to upgrade, you will eventually form a weakness somewhere, and maybe then a ship will come across in some sector, and then will exploit that new weakness of yours, and completely devastate you. Sometimes you do just play through the whole game and you never find the thing that you're looking for. A cloaking device is really useful, but you just may never find it on sale. It's actually even possible to go through the entire game and never have an opportunity to add crew. This is pretty rare, but you can find someone at the store, you can buy a slave if that's the way you want to do it, you protect a refugee from harm, you save someone from a stranded plane, something. You do something and you get another crew member. And if you really do go through all 7 sectors and you don't have any new crew, you just have the 3 that you start with, your chances against the flagship are not great. Another thing that can screw you is if shops appear too close together, though you cannot really maximize your shopping potential as you move through the sectors. Once I had 3 shops appear right next to each other, all within 1 jump of my position, right at the beginning of this sector. I don't normally show screenshots, but I swear to God that happens right there. People make the comparison to FTL with Binding of Isaac and Spelunky. The difference is those games are action-based, and you can get better at the platforming, the jumping, the whipping, the shooting your tears, all that stuff. Whereas FTL is knowledge-based and strategy-based, so you simply have to know what to do when you're faced with certain obstacles. Or you can just, learn it from someone else's LP or stream or something, because I'll bet most people nowadays didn't learn firsthand not to kill all the crew on the flagship. And if you don't know why not to do that, go ahead and try. Because I haven't, Jesus. You make a lot of choices in a run of FTL. Most of them are arbitrary. Like, if you've got the same number of stops going 2 ways through the galaxy, you can go one way or the other, but you don't know which one you might encounter the store on. Because even if you have like long-range sensors, you can't tell where the store is unless you're right next to it. Because I think that's probably deliberate. If you could see where the store was anywhere on the map, you'd go straight to it, and some of the challenge would probably be lost. The maps you traverse and the ships that you encounter are random, but the choices that you make are not. You chose to take the longer path because the longer path means more ships to encounter, and more ships means more scrap, and more scrap means more crew and weapons and doodads and a soft-serve ice cream machine in the break room for everybody. That's the choice that you make. You chose, instead of going straight to the exit, to take one stop to the side because you're like, okay, the rebels are pretty close, but maybe the rebels won't have taken over the exit point by the time I get there. And you go there, you get a lousy 17 scrap, and alright, you go there, and of course the rebels have already taken over the exit point, so you have to fight the rebels, and you don't get any reward for that. You just get 1 fuel and go on, but you took a bunch of lumps that the 17 scrap won't even repair. You made that choice. You chose to buy the 4th shield instead of a cloaking device. You chose to buy a second ion weapon to see if you could hammer down shields quicker rather than increasing your reactor so you can have better evade. You chose to attack a ship that you could have left alone. You chose to explore a ship beset by giant spiders. By the way, don't explore the ship beset by giant spiders. Take my word on this one. Let's get one of them blue options that like mitigates it. Don't. I think there was like only one that would do that in the original game. They might have added one in the expanded edition, advanced edition I think they called it, which I actually haven't played yet. I've just been playing the regular content because I hadn't beaten the game at that point. And if that invalidates my criticism, then fine, but these were things people were saying before advanced edition even came out, so, like, I think it's still fair. You chose not to give mercy to a ship who offered you missiles not to destroy them, and when you destroyed them, lo and behold, all the missiles blew up and they get a bunch of useless drone parts. You chose to give 2 fuel to the stranded NG merchant, and then you find out later on you forgot to buy fuel and now you're stranded. You chose to upgrade your reactor to the super duper reactor, and now it finds out the next stop would have been a store and you could have bought the cloaking device there. I always do that. It drives me crazy, but that's my fault. I've only beaten FTL once. It was the NGA layout. I had 2 Combat 2 drones and 2 Ion Blast 2s. Lots of 2s there. So the Ion Blast 2s would target their most dangerous weapon. It would knock down the shields to get to it. It would keep the shields down, and it would keep their most dangerous weapon out of commission, while my 2 Combat 2 drones would fire at whatever system they felt like. This worked like a charm, and I beat him handily. So when I was trying to do a Kestrel run later on, I sort of did the same thing. I had 2 Ion Blast 2s and 2 Combat drones. I don't know if they were Combat 2s. They probably were or weren't. I'm like, let's try this again. And I got clobbered. I don't know what happened. Like, I guess my evade was probably too low, so one of the endless number of missiles the flagship shoots at me just hit something important. So then I had to take the guy off of shields or something and go, okay, hang on, go fix that. And then shields would come back just a tiny bit less because there's nobody manning it, so the shields kept going down, which meant that something could get through and knock out the pilot seat, which meant that my evade went down even further, and it just, it can just quickly unravel like that. The point is, somewhere along the line, either during the fight or before, I made a bad choice. I haven't brought up Dark Souls yet, mostly because I am not really interested in it. I've never played it, so... but nevertheless, it seems to stand as a paragon as far as the distinction between difficulty and fairness. Dark Souls is very difficult, but Dark Souls is also very fair. It plays by its own rules. There's no wacky thing where something will just decide to just end you. If you follow the rules, and you know what you're doing, and you work at it, seemingly anyone could beat Dark Souls. FTL probably isn't that fair. Like, sometimes you will just get screwed. Sometimes something will just come up, and it will be exactly what you don't want to see, and what you can't respond to. Boom, and, you're toast. But that doesn't happen very often. That's pretty rare. And furthermore, it gets more rare the more you play the game, and the more you learn what to do, and how to respond to whatever the game can throw at you. Have you played King of Tokyo? Stay with me, please. King of Tokyo is a game designed by Richard Garfield, where you play the monster and try to take over Tokyo, as you do. You have 6 special dice, and the dice have 1, 2, and 3 in them, and if you roll those in 3, you get victory points, in 1s, 2s, or 3s. Or you can roll attack, you can roll heal, or you can roll a little energy, which you use to buy like special powers and stuff, which I like to call energon because I'm mature. So you take 6 dice and you roll them, and you look at what you got. You see what you like, see what you don't. You don't like something, you pick it up, you re-roll it again. And then you look again, and you're like, okay, now what do I do? And you can even pick up the ones you had kept before, take anything you want, even the whole thing, and re-roll it a 3rd time. You know, let's say, you know, you really want some energy because extra head is available to buy the power, and trust me, that one's really good. So you're like, alright, I really would like to keep these 2 3s that if I happen to roll a 3 randomly on these other 4 dice, you know, would give me 3 victory points, but I want that energy to make certain that someone else doesn't get that power. Well, you have to give up those 3 things, you know. Or let's say you just really need attack and nothing else really matters. Okay, this would be cool, but you just throw away the hearts or whatever, and you try to re-roll claws that just never come. And that was the risk you took. But the point is, it's with dice, it's risk management, and that's exactly what you do in FTL. You know, you see what the game gives you, what the game throws at you, and like, well, I could do this, I could do that. You keep something you like, you don't keep something you don't. You know, because you can't upgrade your ship to be perfect. There's, you know, what would be the point, basically, if you could? You upgrade to be perfect, and then you beat the flagship, and big deal, you know. It's sort of like in Human Revolution, where you can have every upgrade in the game. It's like, you couldn't do that in the first game. That's kind of weird, you know? I'm not saying you have to love FTL or sink, but it's actually a lot of time into a game of this type. A single playthrough can take like 2 hours. If that's just too much, fine. That's acceptable. But the notion that, like, oh, the game just decided that I was done playing, no. FTL gives you plenty of agency in your fate. And if a little ship, some piece of crap ship just came by and exploited a weakness in your ship, what do you think the flagship is going to do? Just let that slide? Be sporting about it? FTL does not just decide that you are done playing. You lost. You lost fair and square, and you lost because you weren't good enough. No one said that saving the galaxy would be easy. You know, talking about saving the galaxy actually makes me think that there's something else I should probably get back to sometime. Next time, I'm going to finally get back to this. Maybe. I might change my mind and do something else, but nevertheless, I'm finally going to get back to this bad boy. Thank you all for watching. This is King Cool. May the Force be with you. Wait, no!
Fools! Hello! I am Dr. Eyeballsfun, and have I got a deal for you? Oh yes, by all means. Amplify the flavors of your salads with this here seasoning salt. That's just what your doctor was talking about when he said you should eat more salads. Wait a minute. This is like the Red Robin, signature seasoning thing.
Yeah?
Where did you get that? Don't tell me you just walked off with it.
Of course not. I bought it.
From where?
From AutoZone. What do you think?
Don't you sass me, boy. I'm not afraid to take off my belt.